like to do a little comparison to the things that they said about George and things they said about Sarah. But this entire trial, George never said anything. Sarah said that he patted her on the knee and said, "You're it." And then she went and hid, even though she was it, which, if you're it, you're supposed to do the finding. But, you know, maybe Sarah has her own way to play hide and seek. We know that Sarah definitely has her own way for just about anything she wants to do. So, we'll leave it at that. But sometimes there's some crossovers. So when the defense guy's up talking about all the things that George did, it's Sarah's opinion. The arrest and what she said to the police officers, well, it is what it is, and then she tells him why, or everything is her narrative, and she's very happy that her narrative is being followed, because see, that was the problem. That's why she went through so many attorneys, and they wouldn't go with her narrative. Had they been able to, I don't know why the defense is acting like they're the only ones that wonder, a bad time frame. By the time the prosecution knew what the defense was going to use as their defense, they are the ones that didn't have much time. But yet, the defense whined and wanted you to know how he had not been there much. I hope you don't hear the grandchildren, but you may. So I do apologize, but I'm not in my garage with the fan, and I'm no longer held up in my room, which, thank goodness, I just didn't like filming in my room. But I'm back to where I've always been. It's a long story. So anyway, let's listen to some of my observations, okay?
I don't know if you remember, it was a 2-hour video, but there was some things she said, it was not intentional. And eventually, she wanted the detective, it was Detective Lowen, the male detective. And she said, I swear to you on my son's life, it was not intentional. What she was talking about was that George passed, was that George died. That was not.
Okay, let me just say right here, as much as she loved using her son as, I don't know, she dangled him, the things that she said to George about him, in all honesty, she didn't really elaborate much, because don't I don't think she has the ability to comprehend what love actually is. Her son was just an addition to her chores that day when she had him. But it's supposed to make an impression that she swore on her son's life. Like, I wouldn't put it past her to swear that and it not be true. She didn't have any concerns. That's my opinion. So, my apologies for stopping, but had to do it.
Not intentional. She thought he was fine in there. Would he sober up? We've learned from their history, when Sarah gets drunk, she calls for help. When George gets drunk, he beats Sarah. That's their pattern. How many times do we see Sarah call the law? That's their pattern.
Okay, I disagree. Sarah says that every time George is drunk, he beats her up. But yet, we know that if you're an alcoholic, you're drunk daily. How drunk is you know that can be left to the imagination. Some days you're fall down drunk. Some days um, you're what is the word? You're hiding it well enough to think no one notices that you're inebriated, though you are. But she didn't have enough videos in there to say that every time he was drunk, he did that to her. I also venture to guess that before he, if he laid a hand on her, before he did so, she had just been out of control on him and he was just trying to protect himself. And sometimes when you're trying to protect yourself, you push in a manner you didn't mean to push or you do something you didn't mean to do. So there's that.
Sarah told me, I didn't know, I think she said, I didn't know something like this could happen. I've never done it before. And Detective Lowen said, well, what did you expect was going to happen?
Okay, just out of curiosity, how many other people are sitting here going, dude, most anybody with any common sense or any intelligence, big or small, Sarah likes to say, oh, she's a straight A student, and she's certainly in charge of so much other people do. And you expect us to believe she doesn't have the sense God gave a jackass because she had no clue that if you put a human being in a closed up suitcase, they wouldn't be able to get enough air to survive. She buried the man alive, basically. She buried the man alive. Don't expect us to even think Sarah Boone didn't know that could happen. I think I'd take that out of my next whatever. And Sarah, for you to think anybody would believe that you don't know that, give us a break.
I've got a daughter that she was about 18 or 19, and she got a grandmother's hand-me-down pickup truck. It was an older truck, but she didn't have it long, and she was gassing it up, but she didn't put any oil in it. Eventually, it burnt them up. And you don't know what you don't know. I hadn't done a good job of explaining, hey, you got to put oil in it too. Sarah Boone didn't know that he could die in there. It's an old beat up canvas suitcase that she left a gap in. And as naive as that sounds, she didn't appreciate the danger. I mean, is that the way you want to kill somebody? Is that the way?
Okay, do you honestly think she was that naive? Okay. Yeah, no.
What are you going to do it? She had Lucas to take care of. I'm not going to go to prison doing it like this. No attempt to hide the crime. I think the evidence is clear. That's how this happened. I don't want to belabor the point. I do want to show you. Let's quickly show you the engine. got stabbed. Well, think about that. Stabbed with a steak knife. And, and she
Weren't they playing a game, kind of like hide and seek? And how do we know she didn't do that to herself so she could blame George? And if George did it, was it an accident while they were playing sword fight?
stayed with him. She stayed with him. Poked between the eyes with a curtain rod. Stalked in the eye. And who does that?
Don't get me wrong, I think it's sad for both of them, but I'm angry that she tries to put off her drunken behavior all onto him because we saw way too much that she was the aggressor in 90% of what I think we saw. You know, if you're afraid of someone, are you going to go wake them up out of a dead sleep and ask them where your car keys are?
The law empowers an individual to defend their life and safety when faced with a threat and to prevent an attack. That's what Sarah Boone did. That's what Sarah Boone did.
I thought she said she got mad. She got mad. She gets mad when she doesn't get her way. Yeah, I think we clone our clients. Good Lord, mister. Really? Okay, hold on, y'all. Might not even be important what he's fixing to say. Yeah, I guess we want to hear it. Sorry.
She had the keys. She had to be the parent in a lot of ways. And you don't know what you don't know. I hadn't done a good job. Important to understand. Sarah had to be the parent a lot of times. It was her place. She had that $1,000 a month from the divorce settlement coming in. She had the car. She had the phone. She had the keys. She had to be the parent in a lot of ways.
No, I don't think she had to be the parent, sir. I think you're mistaking that with control. She had to control him, not parent him. She wanted to control him. Surely you can see that, sir. Hmm. Okay, now we're going to watch his opinion. I'm sorry, we're going to watch Sarah's opinion as told to her defense counsel. What he doesn't understand is what's coming out of his mouth. His knowledge is all from Sarah Boone herself. So, sir, mercy, help you.
to advise you to try to understand what's going on. And as crazy as it sounds, in this syndrome, they try to protect the abuser. They're in love with them. They try to protect them. I don't know if you remember that there was a time where um, Sarah Boone had a conversation with one of the neighbors, and they were talking about something. And she said, "Did you hear anything yet last night?" Remember, she said, "Shh."
Not this. That wasn't a big deal. You know, she probably did that one night
George
after
and Sarah
beating
like the
George.
police. They like the medical people. I don't know if it's trained, but it just comes with the syndrome that you stay trapped in it.
Here it comes. Come on, mister.
I think another big, if you think about this, when Sarah gets beaten by George, she calls the police. When Sarah gets beaten by George, she calls the police. And a lot of times she just wants him out. Just get him out. Get him to leave. She doesn't want him to get in trouble. She just wants him out. There never was a report of George calling the police on Sarah. She wasn't physically abusing him. The state is trying to present evidence that she emotionally abused him.
Sustained.
That, my friends, is such bullshit. For him to get up there and say that, really and honestly, he doesn't know he's lying when he says that? Nah, come on, mister. Come on, mister. Let me hear it again.
Sarah gets beaten by George, she calls the police. When Sarah gets beaten by George, she calls the police. And a lot of times she just wants him out. Just get him out. Get him to leave. She doesn't want him to get in trouble. She just wants him out. There never was a report of George calling the police on Sarah. She wasn't physically abusing him. The state is trying to present evidence that she emotionally abused him.
Sustained.
Yeah, the state's trying to say she emotionally abused him. Well, let me say, sir, her phone, they said she abused him. Her phone, it was on her phone. How she treated him, that's abuse. She acted like he was her dog, for Pete's sake. Okay, this is amazing.
State is an attempt to show that Sarah mentally or emotionally abused George Torrance. Again, she's not charged with that. She's not perfect. Some of that was her trauma. In Sarah's situation, you do become numb and hardened, I think, over time. That's a coping mechanism. It's a day-to-day thing, some good days, some, you know. But the homicide detectives, I don't know if you saw that 2-hour video. At some point in the 2-hour video, they started talking about some of the violence. And they go, we know. They had already checked with neighbors or whoever. They knew. The neighbors knew. Police officers knew who responded. Torres' family knew. They all knew about the abuse.
So the problem that I have with him stating that the Torres family knew of the abuse, The Torres family knew of her abuse to him, sir. His ex-wife said never ever. What was it, 14 years of marriage? Excuse me. Though he does fancy himself a ladies' man. Poor guy was just trying to make the craziest, most demanding, most, I don't know. She thinks she's entitled to everything. I don't need a deck of cards. Couldn't use them if I had them. Don't know how to read them. I have absolutely no training in psychology or psychiatry. But I was raised by a narcissist. Learn to watch people, study people. You may be grown before you figure out what all's going on with how you're being treated, but you sure do become an expert in people's behavior. Um, the shh. She may have knocked the holy terror out of him the night before. She might have thrown him up against a wall. I don't care what Mr. Yahoo standing here says. They both weighed 100 pounds. And she threatened a whole lot more. He always said I didn't hit you. I wouldn't do that. I haven't done that. I wouldn't do that. And quite frankly, sir, when you're saying, oh, the police knew, they're agreeing with a drunk, okay? They're dealing with a drunk. They're getting used to going out there. I mean, hell, she thinks she needs to hug them. They don't mean that they believe her, sir. Yo, it means that they knew how to pacify the drunk, sir. Ugh.
The prosecutor in an opening statement, when he was talking about George Torres passing away, he started talking about Sarah Boone. And his quote was, because I wrote it down, George, in Sarah Boone's mind, George Torres deserved it. George Torres deserved it. That's the position to take. He deserved to die. She loved the man. She wasn't trying to kill him.
So, really? Really? She loved the man. Yeah. She loved controlling him. She loved his paycheck. But the interesting thing about that paycheck, y'all, is he had a job, but no, he didn't have a job, but he did have a job, but he was looking for a job. But we also know that she held his ID and birth certificate. She had his ID and birth certificate. He cannot go cash his paycheck, sir. unless she went with him. Is that very controlling? By the way, did you hear how mean she got if he drank the last of something? Oh my gosh. All right. So I know it had a long closing, but we're going to end with this.
I hope I haven't missed anything. I tried my best. Sarah Boone fought back and survived. We ask that you do justice in this case and find her not guilty because the doubt is reasonable. I've tried to show you where the doubt was. I trust your judgment. We spent a long time picking the jury, 4 days. We trust you. We appreciate your service and your obligation to do your duty. You have the power and authority to right this wrong.
Okay, so Sarah Boone fought back and survived. She can, I guess, be remembered as the lady that beat a suitcase. I mean, really, mister? So, as you can see, I have my attitude, but I had my attitude watching this charade, no, not a charade, but this game of hers. So sad. And maybe she'll get to stay in prison even longer. Maybe she'll get herself in trouble in there. But, I mean, nobody knows, right? Maybe she'll change. Personally, I'm glad she's going to be sent away, and I hope it's for a very, very long time. Because, quite frankly, sir, she may decide to stuff somebody in a plastic bag and poke it with a knife. I mean, give me a break. But if they have good appeal, whatever, that, if they were to retry this case, it's all coming in, Sarah, all of it. Your ex-husband has a lot he could say. The Torres family have a lot they could say. And the prosecution will have a lot more to use against you because it won't be a very crash. It was so fast for them to have to scramble too. So there you go. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. I'll be back with the defense. Well, no, the prosecution soon. Now theirs, oh, was fantastic, just fantastic. So, all right. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to say goodbye. Have a good day.